Trigger warnings. There is a discussion of grief, spousal death, and depression. So if any of these are triggers for anyone, I'll see you back next week. Peace and blessings. Matteo Bianchi. I chose to believe in fate. Akira Wright was the love of my life, but I wasn't so sure we were meant to be together in this lifetime. She'd been in her most vulnerable state when our paths first crossed. A bond I thought was strong enough to convince her she'd always been meant for me was forged. But in the end, I had to walk away, and she let me. Akira Wright. I chose to ignore fate. Matteo Bianchi might be the love of my life, but how was I supposed to love him when I promised forever to my husband? He'd come into my life at a time when loving another wasn't a part of my endgame. The bond we forged changed me forever, but it hadn't been enough to bring me out of my despair. In the end, he walked away, and I let him. Before we get into the episode, I want to do a family breakdown that Asia includes at the beginning of every book. But with every book, you're introduced to new people, and then like also it's updated from the last one of who got married, who's engaged, whatever. So the first family is the Moretti family, where we have Leonardo, who is the dad, like everybody. I mean, uh, Lu, I was gonna call that man Lucci, Lucia and Luca's dad, Leonardo, and then their mom's name is Nera. And like I said, we have Lucia, who is married to Enzo, and then they have one child who is Enzo Jr. And then we have Luca, who is married to Galena Invanote. I know that's not right. And the last book I tried to not even play myself like that with, like, and they're engaged and they have their baby on the way. And what does this say? What you need to know, though Leonardo is a Costa by birth, he does not claim the name or the family as his own, and they have never claimed him. And so then we have the Bianchi family, where Angelo is the dad, and he was adopted by what is this? Alessandro Bianchi and Martina. And then we have Amelia Bianchi, who, is their mom. Then we have Enzo, Matteo, and Gianna. And then there's the Ivanov family, where we have Dmitri, his wife Sasha, their son Nikolay, and then Galena. And I don't think I ever mentioned Nikolay in the last book because he's still in high school and he's still trying to get his life together. Um, and then we have the, I want to say, Sato family, excuse me. Um, Now, remember at the beginning of book one, there's five families. These are only four, and we're going to get the fifth family in the next book, but we haven't got to that yet. But that's just a breakdown. So, and that's one of the things I enjoy about her book as well. When you have mafia books like this and there's a lot of people, there's a breakdown in the beginning of every book. So it's just like, who's who again? You have something to help you along the way. So, Asia, thank you for that, girl, because I kept mixing myself up and having to go back and be like, oh, yeah, that's right. This family member is this family member, and they go there and they go there. So, let's get into the story. Sometimes it's not the times you decide to fight, but the times you decide to surrender that makes all the difference. Hello, my beautiful people, and welcome back to the Bibliophile's Bookcase. I'm your host, Erica the Bibliophile. So, this is Mateo's story, and we're jumping off into the past. And the past starts before Sinful Vow. So before there was Enzo and Luca, there was Mateo, who is out with Rocco at this warehouse, and they're about to watch a fight. And the first thing he says is, she's small but quick. So whoever the woman in the ring is, like he's noticing her and he's attracted to what he sees. And he's asked Rocco, like, how many times have you seen her fight? And Rocco says 3 times. Now, the type of fight that goes on in this ring is fighting to the death. Now, her name is Akira. She is the daughter of Mio and Joaquin Wright. Now, Mia, like a little backstory on her parents. Well, let me do Joaquin first. Joaquin was security for um Lucia. Like, she was his guard, and they were real close. And he was sent out on a job to kill Mio by her father because Mio was a illegitimate child, and as the head of their mafia, they didn't want a woman running it, and she was her father's only heir. So, but Mio was good, so she actually stabbed Joaquin, and they ended up falling in love. So instead of him actually killing her, they fell in love, and she killed her own father and took over his empire. And Akira is their daughter. So while Mio is like the quote unquote head of the family, Joaquin, I think technically he's the leader of the Red Society, which is that assassin group that Lucia is in. And like I said, Kira is their daughter, so she doesn't even have to be fighting, but he can tell that this is like an out for her. Um, and so as everybody's waiting for the match to start, a woman comes out on the microphone and says that her competition has canceled. Like, they backed out of the race. So of course, people start booing like, "Hold on, we came to see somebody die tonight. Who gonna do it? Who gonna do it?" So she asks, "Are there any challengers?" And this woman comes out of the ring, and the announcer, she steps away so we can have a conversation. Like, you understand this to the death, right? Like, this is not over until one of y'all dies. She agrees. So the fight is real quick. Like, Akira gets her down on the mat. She pulls out this knife, slices her throat, and basically that's the end of it. And the woman who's on the mic, Matteo, is there to do business with her. So he asks her, does she ever do meet and greets? And the woman is immediately like, no. No, her name is Fallon. Sorry. I keep calling her that woman. Fallon is like, no, don't ask about that. None like that. And so they go and do business. But Akira is actually sitting out in the parking lot waiting for him to come out. And he's like, I thought, well, no, she tells him, I heard you were looking for me. And he was like, well, I was told that you didn't do meet and greets, but yet here you are. And so they have this back and forth thing. And at first he's like, tell me that your marriage means something to you, because basically, like, I hold marriage at what is it? Like, marriage is sacred. But if you don't give a fuck, I'm finna not give a fuck. So what is it? But actually, Akira's husband is dead. And he can see like the pain in her eyes, and he's like, oh no, we can't do this. Because I believe when people have sex with each other, you transfer energy. And he feels like his energy is bad. So he doesn't want to pass that along to whatever she already has going on. So he like, oh nah, we can't do this. And basically told her, like, whatever you're looking for, I can't give it to you. But she's like, no, I want it. So what we gonna do? So he sends Rocco on his way, and he jumps in the truck with her, telling her to drive to their casino. So she's like, cool, hotel. I've done this before. Let's get it on. And so, what was supposed to be a one night stand turns into a year of them sneaking around. But it ends because in that time of them sneaking around, Matteo, well, they both developed feelings for each other, but Matteo was the only one willing to put it out on the table and say, I want to be with you and I want this relationship to move forward. But Akira is still holding on to her past and her grief. So she's not willing to put a name on what they're actually doing. So he ends it. He's like, you're not about to string me along and play this back and forth game with you. So cutting off ties, cutting all that off. And this is where I want to get on Akira, because the way we always talk about men and say men play with women's emotions and basically like string women along, that's what she was trying to do. And I hated it because it's like Mateo kept putting himself out there like, do you want to be in a relationship with me? And she's like, no, but basically I want you around. And he's like, no, like I'm not doing this with you. So Akira's family, like they run illegal gambling. So Enzo and Mateo, like they agreed to let them come into their territory and host a game night like at their casino. So they get it set up real nice and everything, and have security, boom, 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 whatever, whatever. But Akira helps herself to his apartment because it was Enzo, Mateo, and what's her name, Gianni. They all shared the building together. Like Enzo was on the top floor, Mateo had the second level, and Gianni was at the bottom. So he had her thumbprint put into the security code, so she could come and go as she pleases. And she makes her way into his room, basically, like trying to saddle up to him or like push up on him, and he's like, are you here to finally agree to be in a relationship? And it's basically like, I can't do that. It's just like, so why are you here? Like, I have not changed my mind. That's that pissed me off the most. I'm just like, he didn't change his mind. So why are you here messing with him? And it's like, that you feel something for him, but you're just not ready to admit it. And okay, so let's get into Akira. Akira, she's also an assassin like her and Lucia. They used to work together. They used to be kind of tight. Um, and she was married. Like we know that her husband's dead, but like her husband, he died in a car crash. He was killed by a drunk driver, and she's just feeling this sorrow. Like and I want to say, not to say, okay, I feel like what I'm saying is gonna come out messed up, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Um, I feel like it was the quote unquote Asian part of her where she promised herself to her husband, like that was supposed to be her forever. And she just felt like she could not move on. And the reason why I say it's messed up, because it's like, not that black people can't be loyal, and not that some people is just like whoever they married, that's the person they love forever, and they gonna do like, I promise myself to them I'm not getting with anybody else, marrying anybody else, whatever, whatever. But it's just like she was so stuck on that. And then like further on, like as you get into the story, as she's telling about her life with what's his name? Samuel was her husband's name. You realize that the relationship was not as deep as she's holding on to. So it's just like, yes, you tragically lost your husband, but you weren't in love with him the way you're in love with Mateo. And I can get how that's a part of the grief, because she says, like, it makes me feel like what I had with him wasn't real. And that's not the case. It was very much real. Like, your feelings were valid, but you, how I took it, how I feel, her and Samuel, they were more so friends. And he was her escape from the mafia world more than actually this was your forever person who you were meant to be with. And Mateo, like, he was there every step of the way. He let her feel her feelings, like, get it out, express yourself, say what you want to say. And, like, I understand your feelings are valid and you can mourn him while still being in love with me and us moving forward. And she was just so scared of that. She was like, I don't, and she still has his phone number in service where she was calling his phone, like, I love you, whatever, whatever. And I'm just like, I just felt like she just wanted to punish herself in a way. Because it's just like I said, if you read the book, it's just like the way she explained it, like, she couldn't be herself with Samuel. Like, he was laid back where she couldn't be her rah-rah self, basically. Like, she had to tone herself down. His parents didn't really like her, and I'm telling y'all, I'm sorry, that's just a red flag for me. Family got to get along. If our families don't get along, or if your parents don't like me or my parents don't like you, that's just set up for a bad relationship. I just do not believe that I would be put with somebody that don't get along with my family. Like, that is crazy to me. I'm sorry. I just feel like it puts an extra strain on a relationship where it doesn't need to be. Like, relationships are hard within themselves. Why would I also be saddled with trying to fight your family as well? Like, no, I'm not doing that. So, and then when he died, I think the mama wanted her wedding ring back that came from Samuel's grandmother, all his possessions. They wanted that back, and she gave it back, but it still hurt because it's just like as soon as he died, they couldn't wait. Like, uh, basically snatching the shit like Cinderella's stepsisters when she made that dress, just snatching everything away from her, and just like, good, we ain't got to deal with you no more. Hallelujah. And then for her to say herself, like, I couldn't really be me, but this the person you mourning? Like, you can mourn your friend, but trying to cut yourself off from relationships makes no sense. So that's where she pissed me off at, but while I'm still trying to be understanding and extend her grace. But oof, when I tell you, I was like, Akira girl, you please, why are you doing Mateo like this? He don't deserve. And then let's get into Mateo. So, they learned that their dad, like, basically cut himself off from the family or told them that they were cut off from the family when it really wasn't true in a sense. So, where, they were adopted by the Italian man and he loved them, but the rest of the world, the rest of the Italian world, they would have never accepted them anyway. So he broke off and created his own lane in the mafia world, but they were cut off from their grandmother who loved them very much. And so Mateo is upset because it's just like, as my father, I looked up to you. Like, I go to you for guidance, and to find out that you lied to me, it hurts. So there was a strain for a little while between him and his dad until they finally have a talk where the dad is just like, I did what I thought was best for you guys. And then also he went to go talk to his grandmother because they're trying to reconnect. And she told him, like, I didn't agree, but I respected what your father did because, like I said, it was a race thing. Like, you have these Italians are racist. They're not gonna accept this black man, being in their neighborhood and being a part of their business. So him basically trying to teach himself how to be a black man and then marrying a black woman and having these, is she black or is she Italian? Anyway, by having these half Italian black children, it's just like, I needed y'all to see what the world was going to be like and how they were going to treat us. And so Mateo, like, he finally understands. And when him and his dad have the conversation, he tells his dad, I want you to go get what's rightfully ours and let's build and take, because they're in New Jersey. And so he's like, and let's take over New York City. So they patch up their relationship. And also, Mateo is a Christmas baby, but he didn't decorate this year because it just didn't feel the same. And he also didn't want to make a big fuss about himself. But when him and Akira, or I should say, when Akira finally stopped playing, she sets up his place with a whole bunch of balloons. Like she decorated Christmas trees, she had balloons, she had birthday cakes. She just flooded out the whole apartment and was like, I want you to know that me and your family, we love you, we see you, and we cherish you. And so he tells her, like, I'm gonna marry you, I want to marry you. And she's like, well, when you ask me properly, I will. So he pulls out, because when he went to go see his grandmother, he had looked at her wedding ring on her finger, and she pulls it right off. Like, here, I don't have no need for this, because she's up in age, and she's like, here, take it. So he pulls that ring out and proposes to her right there on Christmas. And the very next day, they went off and got married. Um, oh, I forgot. It was like at some time during the book, nobody had ever been able to find the drunk driver who killed her husband because he fled the scene. Mateo found him like basically with no problem and presented him to her like, I know this isn't going to bring him back or even stop your grief, but basically here you go. And she killed him. And it was just like he was able to do what nobody else had been able to do just that quickly. But yeah, so they're married. They said no babies, no time soon. Like they want babies, but just not right now. So that was Mateo and Akira's story. I hope you liked it. And I appreciate this story because in the beginning she tells us like this isn't about the mafia business. This is strictly like relationship only. And it was a difficult relationship, but when they finally got it together, they got it together. So the next story next week, is it next week? The next episode, child, because I can't remember. It's gonna be Cien, I think is how you say it. Cien and Gianna's story. So we're wrapping up the Bianchi family, and I think then we're gonna go into the Sullivan family. We're going to get to know them, and they're the fifth family as a part of this 5 family group that we have going on. And that's, who is that? I think it's Finnegan and, is it Violet? Yeah, it's Violet. And I can't wait to hear Violet's story because Violet is one of the girls that Lucia rescued from the sex trafficking. So we get to see her. But the real story I'm waiting for, it comes out February 6th. And that's Rocco and G. And I cannot wait because Rocco is crazy. I forgot to tell you. So, Rocco is like a bodyguard and he be quiet. He be in the background watching and seeing stuff. So it's the fact that he knew some business he wasn't supposed to know, and somebody put a hit out on Rocco's life, but Akira, of course, told them like somebody got a hit out on you, so you just need to keep your mouth closed. You don't know nothing. Act like you don't know nothing. Don't say nothing. Whatever. And this man just laughed. He laughs at the fact that there's a hit out on his life. Rocco's crazy, and I love it. I can't wait. Anyway, that's all I have for you, my beautiful people. Peace and blessings, and I hope to see you back next episode. I'm gonna stop saying next week because I'm doing 2 episodes a week now. So next episode. Peace.